Today's guest is one of Victoria's leading corporate photographers. James Pyne prides himself on creating high impact and memorable photos for his clients, and I can personally vouch for this. A photo is more than an image. It's more than picking up a piece of engineering mastery, aligning a subject to a frame, and clicking a shutter. A photo has depth, meaning, and public implication. From the mood and feel of a shot to its intended target market, the thought and detail behind an image has a tremendous amount of thought and consideration taken into it. And James does just this. Expect to learn about why headshots are such a critical piece of corporate marketing and how your business can use imagery and photos in a purposeful and intentional manner to drive revenue to your business. You'll also learn about James's 4-step framework on creating a high impact and memorable image. This is an episode that you're going to find extremely insightful. And for me, as someone who works in the space of video and uses cameras on a daily basis, the knowledge and depth of expertise that James has is unmatched. Let's welcome James to the pod. I want to start off with a question that's very up your alley, based on what you do. Mm-hmm. What does high impact mean to you?
Okay. For me, a high impact image is one that actually stops you, where you stop and you actually want to then start examining what the image is. So there needs to be something special, something different to take you out of the thousands of images that you see every day that you just flick straight past. Okay.
So make you stop in your track, really appreciate what's in front of you, understand what you're looking at, correct?
For me, it's an image where as soon as you see it, you actually want to have a deeper look.
Okay, sure. And then how does that contrast to a memorable photo then?
Okay, a memorable photo becomes memorable when you want to go back and look at it. You want to remember it. So if we think of an image of, let's say, a grandparent, so we're looking back through a photo album and we see an image and it brings back memories, it brings back emotions. You know, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
So something that makes you go, wow, that means something to me.
Okay. So you got high impact and you have memorable.
Yeah.
So memorable is really about reliving that emotional experience again, whilst high impact is, I really want to have a look at this really deep, understand what it is I'm experiencing there.
Look, I think it's a necessary part today because everyone can take an image. And images today, we see so many of them that we become blasé to it.
Sure. That makes perfect sense. So then why would a company, an individual, why would they want a high impact, memorable photo as opposed to your generic image photo?
Okay, really good question. If you had a photo that was just like everything else out there, what benefit would that be to your brand if no one took any notice of it, no one stopped, and no one remembered it?
You wouldn't have much of a competitive advantage in your market.
You wouldn't even be recognisable.
Same as everyone else.
Yeah, you wouldn't stand out at all, and no one would remember you.
Sure. Okay. So then the impact of photography then is a lot deeper than what most people think of it on face value. There's actually a lot of meaning behind it and a lot of thought that has to go into producing that image. Is that correct?
I'd say so, yes. Why do we want images? Why do we use images? Why do big brands, take a lot of time, a lot of care, and that in thinking about the concept of their image, the colours that they're going to use, how it's going to be lit, and who they actually are trying to sell or contact with? Yeah. So if the people who are huge in the industry know this and spend a lot of time and a lot of money, they don't do it for no reason. They want return on their investment.
Sure. So what's an example of one of those companies then that are really putting an investment into this?
Okay. If you think of something, take McDonald's, a simple hamburger. Sure. But how recognisable are an image of their hamburger? How good does it look? How much time do they take in choosing all of the things, getting that just perfect so that you remember the hamburger and you remember their brand?
Yeah. That's interesting because I would consider McDonald's to be a very low budget brand.
They are.
As opposed to your premiums within that industry.
Yeah.
And yet this is a company that is heavily investing in photography to make them stand out in their market despite being a low cost provider.
Oh, most definitely. If you look at a local hamburger store, so it could be the little local fish and chip shop. They have someone who really cares in that about the produce that they're using, how they actually make their patties, the steps that they actually go to. They might have a fantastic tasting hamburger, but do you ever see them on a billboard at an airport? Do you see them as you're driving down the road? Are they able to invest vast sums of money on promoting that product and promoting their brand?
No, they don't have it.
They don't have it.
So we're finding out now that the images aren't just a want to have or a thing to have. There actually is a lot more to it in terms of strategically placing you in your marketplace and really setting yourself up for success down the line and into the future.
Oh, most definitely. And to me, when you're looking at the big brands, so if you went to Chadstone Shopping Centre and you go to the Black Label area and you look at the brands that are there, the big internationals, you look at the size of the imagery at the front of their stores, you look at their magazines, you look at their advertising and that on billboards, it's all premium images that you look at it and your first thing is, wow, what is it? Yeah. Your second is, that must be premium. No, I would expect to pay a reasonable amount of money to buy that product, and it's desirable. And they do that through their imagery.
Because it's high impact and it's memorable.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So then if we look at photography in two areas then, let's say headshots is one area, people. And then you've got the other side of things, which is more to do with your product, the hamburgers that we just spoke about before. You could probably say handbags and stuff like that for some of those black label brands.
Oh, absolutely.
What are the common mistakes? If we just look at the headshot and the people side of things at the moment, what are the common mistakes that you're seeing a lot of companies, a lot of businesses make when it comes to producing headshots, either by themselves or from the companies that they bring in to do those headshots? What are those mistakes that you're seeing commonly?
Okay. The first mistake that I see is when they're looking at photography of a person, they look at it as a commodity. And as a commodity, their general first question is, what is the price? How cheap can you do X number of photographs of the people? This is my team. I have X number of people. How cheaply can you take a picture of them?
Sure.
And of course, if that's the main determinant, it's not why are we taking a picture? Where are we going to use that picture? Who's going to be seeing it? And who are we trying to attract with actually having a picture of our people? And how do we then get the best possible picture of that person that shows who they are, what they do within the company, and how that relates to the client that's looking on their website at a team page and going, who are these people and how do they relate to me as the buyer of their product?
Just commoditizing things it's a big issue across the board, isn't it? Not just photography, but there's so many other industries out there. Yeah. You think of people like, it'd be nice to have a brand strategy developed. It'd be nice to have a video taken of our event or behind the scenes of what we're doing. Yeah. And then their first thing is to go out and search Google, videographer near me.
Yes.
Okay, we've got A, B, and C to choose between. B looks like they're going to be the cheapest. Let's give them a call first. Yeah. But they could have gone to A, or they could have gone to C, or they could have looked outside of their area and gone to D.
Yes.
Who, they look behind the strategy behind it. As you said there, who we're targeting. what are they going to be receptive to? There's so much more to it.
Yeah.
Is there a threat then to not having high impact and memorable photos?
I think there's an enormous threat to it. One, today in the market, normally the first place that most people meet us is digitally online. So if we make a determination of who somebody is, what we believe they are like, their level of friendliness, their level of competence, and that what service or product they actually offer, and we're making that decision within a fraction of a second by looking at a picture of them, to me it's really, really important to make sure that that's been a well thought out picture, not stand in front of a background and have the cheapest shot taken and let's get through everybody in the shortest period of time.
Sure. So without diving into those really small businesses, your family businesses that perhaps don't have the budget to go for a high impact memorable photo, for those brands that are of a decent size and they have the budgets there, but they're still choosing to go to a cheaper provider, why, well, I'll rephrase the question, how do you think they're going about their photography in a way that's unintentional? So what are those red flags, if you like, that their marketing department, their executives can look within their company and say, we have these big ambitions, which could be achieved through a high impact image, but there's these red flags within their company culture that are giving rise to this culture of going for a cheaper provider. What would you say those red flags are, those variables?
The first thing generally is possibly lack of never actually seeing a high impact image of a person. What they're used to, and that is they stand in front of a backdrop, have a picture taken of you.
Sure.
And that normally comes down to lack of time, lack of knowledge. What I find is if someone actually goes through a process where it's explained to them, body shape, body language, how a face works, how lighting works, how to actually bring features out, how to actually show intent in the way your muscles and that work, the way a smile works, the little movements of an eye where we get the light in the right spot versus having just a tiny little head tilt up or down where I can change the light to my chin or to my forehead just by moving my head. When they see the differences and they see how much better the result is, and that's when I find I can make that change for them.
That's really interesting you say that. What are they exposed to? Because you talk about in business and in general life as well, personal side of things, you're a product of the people around you, the top 5 people around you, the top 3 people around you.
Yeah.
It's interesting in this context, you're saying the business is a product of what they expose themselves to digitally, in person, seeing billboards and what forth, shopping centres. They're a product of what they're exposing themselves to, and if they're exposing themselves to cheaper photography, well, then that's the line they're going to go down, as opposed to if they're exposing themselves to these black label brands that are really putting a big investment into professional, high impact, memorable images.
It is what you're exposed to. If you've only ever seen one type of a headshot image and they all look exactly the same, and you've never seen something that stands out, well, 1, it wasn't high impact, 2, it wasn't memorable, and therefore it wasn't that important. Aren't your people the most valuable commodity that you actually have in your business? Because without them, you don't function.
Oh, spot on. Yeah, the people are everything. They're your brains, they're your arms, your feet, and your mouth. Like, it's everything. So then, how do relationships work with photo then? Connection, human connection. Because if you're talking about all these little minute details of the shadows and the light, and whereabouts on your chin a shadow may fall, presumably this is all for a purpose of being able to engage with that target market, that individual persona, a lot better. So then how are you leveraging the use of human connection through photo? How does that come about?
How does it come about? It comes about, first of all, in the discussion that we have before we even get in front of the camera. So what I'd sit down is talking to them about, why are they getting an image taken? What do they like or don't like about having their pictures taken? Have they ever had any pictures that they actually were really happy with? Who are their clients? Where do they come from? How do they take in media? What demographic do they sit in? And then how do we actually build your body language? How do we build the areas that you're going to be moving your face and the lighting? And then how do we actually create an expression that actually is a target with that particular person? So we're custom creating a photograph that talks to the person who we want to talk to most, not have a picture taken of somebody.
Yeah.
We're creating a picture with somebody.
Sure.
And we're creating it for a specific group that we're trying to target with that photograph.
Okay, so let's put this into action then.
Yeah.
For full disclosure for listeners and for viewers, I've been one of your clients, so we've worked through this exact process.
We have.
Let's just say, what's a really easy business? Let's say, restaurants are very easy to understand as a business. Let's say I'm opening up a new business.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to get some professional imagery done, high impact and memorable images for my staff, because I have a really, I lay a lot of importance on my customers coming into my restaurant and having a really good experience, not because of the quality of our food, or the quality of our service, but because of the quality of our staff.
Yeah.
So when people come onto our website, onto our social media, and they see our staff, I want them to have this instant connection to them that is different to what you'd get at a regular restaurant, which is all focused on their food.
Yeah.
So let's go from the start of your process. And what question would you ask me initially based on that?
Okay. The first question that I'd start asking is about the actual restaurant. Why have you gone into business? Who is it that you're actually targeting? Who are the clients that you actually want to bring into that business so that your staff can give them that experience? What is the food that you're going to be actually providing? Getting an understanding of who the people are, how long do they stay? Is it a quick turnaround meal? Is it a long session meal? Is there big times between the entree, giving them time to chat and discuss things before you bring the mains out? Or is it we need to get a certain number of people in and out through the restaurant in a period of time? So, what are the requirements?
So I would say the reason we went into business was because we want our customers to be able to have a relaxed dining experience where they don't feel like they are at the mercy of revenue and profits and turnover. Personally, myself, I hate being in a restaurant where I have my entree ordered, it's served, and I'm maybe 3/4 of the way through my meal, and then they've put my main on the table as well. That's really frustrating for me. So that's probably the main reason for business, a bit more of an enjoyable experience where you're not feeling rushed. In terms of what food we're serving the people that we're wanting to target, it's going to be more of an upper class restaurant, not super upper class, but a bit more above what you'd get your nice Italian restaurant in your main town. So with that, obviously, in terms of if we're looking at individual personas of people, probably looking at executives of companies, maybe your middle management and a little bit above, perhaps, if you're looking at that side of things. Salary maybe, let's say 120 grand plus a year.
Okay.
So they're well off, but you're not coming there with your family to have a nice dinner with your kids and what forth. It's more so maybe a bit more of an intimate, relaxed environment with your partner, and you come in there to really just enjoy company with each other.
Yeah. Okay. So based on that, the type of staff that you're going to be looking at, they're going to be staff who are attentive. They're going to be staff and that who have an understanding of what somebody in that area and that field is looking for. They want someone who's knowledgeable. They want somebody who's going to be able to talk to them about today's specials, what's particularly good about the produce, why the chef's actually chosen this on the menu at the moment, how to actually ask them and that what they'd like, giving them the right amount of time and the right amount of space. So personal body cues are going to be important. The way they actually hold themselves will be important. The clothing that they wear and how they wear it is going to matter. Yeah. So with all of those sort of things being part of it, they need to be looked at in their photo. So we'd be looking at their grooming, we'd be looking at their fingernails, we'd be looking at how they actually hold their hands, we'd be looking at, if they're shaven, and that how are they shaven? Does it have to be clean, or are they allowed to have some facial hair? And that if so, what it needs to be like. And then we'd build that persona that matches that client. So when a client looks at a picture of that staff member, straight away they relate and say, that would be a good person to come and serve me on this particular time when I'm going out to eat and enjoy with that group of people.
So you touched on hand placement and gestures there.
Yeah.
What would be an example for my staff to... Where would you place my staff's hands when you're taking a shot of them?
Okay. That would depend on how close the shot was. If we were doing a close shot of just a head and a face and maybe just up a torso.
Let's say that we're doing maybe a hip up,
Yeah.
because I want them to feel like it's you've got a bit more space around you, so it's a bit more relaxed, as opposed to a nice tight headshot where you're really narrowing down on certain facial specifics, I would guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So the first thing we'd be looking at, or the first thing I'd be taking them through, when we're doing the test images and we're doing the lighting and showing them how things work, we'd be looking at body language, showing them when they move a hand in a particular way or they move an arm, how it affects other muscles, how it affects and that your shoulders, your neckline, so that we can actually see that. So we shoot direct to the computer. After we've taken some pictures, we actually go and have a look, and we actually do test exercises where I'll go, now I want you to move your body like this. I want you to move your hand like that. Have a look at how that changes the lighting. Come and have a look at it close up at the screen. Now let's move back where we're seeing shapes and shadows, and then we can see, does that body language match what we actually are trying to say?
Right, okay. Okay, so at this stage, we've determined who we're wanting to target, and we've understood how we need to position ourselves and structure the shadows and the lights to match that persona. And now it's about trialing slight modifications to positioning.
Absolutely. Right. To see what movements do we actually make that tell that story better. If I was here and I'm trying to communicate with you and I was sitting here with a clenched fist and a straight arm, that would not be showing that I'm feeling comfortable and that I'm wanting to actually communicate with you. But if I was using my hands and I'm in a much more relaxed position, and that straight away the body language says, that we're interacting, we're relaxed.
Sure.
We want all that to match in the clothing, what the actual staff member is supposed to be doing, and how they would be perceived by the client. And we want to make all of those little things all work together so the picture says, I enjoy my job, I love what I do, I'm in customer service and I'm proud of it, and we provide fantastic customer service to go along with the atmosphere and also the food that we provide.
Okay. So presumably when you're taking these photos of my staff, I would be within the studio as well to provide feedback on if I believe this is matching my target market. What would you do, or how would you go about the situation if you took a photo of one of my staff members and I thought it was an amazing photo? Yeah. But they thought it was absolutely horrible. So how would you go about that? Because that could really hurt my restaurant.
For sure.
If I think that's a great photo, but they don't, that could hurt my staff. Yeah. And likewise, if they thought it was a really good image, and I look at it and you look at it and we think maybe it's not great, but they're really adamant that that's the image they want.
All right. Normally I take that back a little bit further. Before we actually get in front of the camera, I generally work through with people and explain to them why when they see a picture of themselves that they don't recognise that person. We go through different parts of them seeing me, and I deliberately sit and talk with them so they get to see what I actually look like to them. Then I go to the mirror and I actually show them what I think I look like in a mirror, which is where they see themselves, and ask, does it look like the same person that you've been sitting down talking to? And they always say no. And say, well, this is the reason why when you see a picture of yourself, you don't recognise that person. It's the same as when you're out with friends and there's a picture taken, and often people go, oh, you look great, and you look, but I don't know about me. Yeah. And it's because they're looking at somebody they don't recognise. They see themselves in a mirror, they're reversed.
Sure.
In front of a mirror, we're normally in body positions that make our face look completely different to what it looks like when we're relaxed. Yeah. So I take them through, I show them that. I show them how they're coming across, and we build the picture together. I don't take a picture of them and then say, that's what I think is good. We actually creatively step through together, so we're building the picture as a team.
Sure.
And I find with that, most people are pretty happy with what they get at the end because they were part of it. They saw the movements that they did. They saw the things that we did and how it got better and better and better until we built the picture.
That's really interesting. You talk about that personal, self-esteem, if you want to call it that, perhaps. There was a really good video marketing campaign done by Dove. They do lots of really good campaigns, but one specific one, it was called Real Beauty Sketches, and a bunch of strangers, women, they came together in a warehouse and they mingled with each other and spoke with each other, and then they were asked to individually sit down with the sketch artist, and the sketch artist is behind a wall. They can't see the person, and the woman individually has to describe herself to the sketch artist, and he or she draws the picture or what they look like, and then the following day the strangers would then speak about the women that they had seen, and they would describe what the women would look like to them. And the result of this experiment was that there was a more accurate drawing sketch done of the women when the stranger spoke about them and how they looked versus how the individual perceived themselves. I think that speaks to exactly what you're talking about there, is that we're our harshest critics as opposed to how we look.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's amazing that you see that come through in your work there as well. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. It does, even down to little things where when someone's not used to being in front of a camera, their eyes go what I call deer in the headlights. And you can actually see in their eyes, they're thinking about, am I in the right position? Am I doing the right thing? And in it, we go into different parts of their personality, things that they like, food that they like, drink that they like, things that they've done on the weekend. Do they have pets? Who have they been with in their family that made them laugh? And it's the little human elements that we bring in right at the very, very last part when we've got most of it down pat, and then we're looking for that final expression. And then it's matching the expression of an eye movement, how much of a smile, getting a real part. Because if someone holds a smile, for most people, they go, yeah. And within a fraction of a second, it looks fake. Yeah. It looks like a cheese. But if you get that natural smile of somebody who's really feeling that they want to smile, we get beautiful little muscle structures around the edge of the face. We get them in the eyes, a little tiny movement of an eye muscle, and suddenly there's a little glimmer in their eye that wasn't there before. Yeah. And when people see that, it makes the hair stand up on the back of my arms because, someone goes, I'm alive there. And going, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Yeah. That's your real personality. That's your real you coming out. And that's my job, to try and bring that out at the right time and be focused and ready to take the picture.
I remember when we were going through this process for my photo, and we spoke about all these questions, and my target persona is those middle to high level executives, business owners, marketers, and I wanted to portray myself as a professional. Yeah. So we were very very structured in terms of we were making sure I didn't smile too much.
Yes.
But we still wanted to have a little bit of a smile to show a bit of friendliness.
Yeah.
But I needed a professional looking image that made me look and appear a little bit above my age, being quite young. And yeah, we're going through all these little minute adjustments. Photo, have a review. Photo, have a review. And yeah, I remember that exact moment you just described in there, where it's like you said, that little glimmer in the smile.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, geez, we did that.
That was it. That's the one.
Yeah, but it took us so many attempts back and forth to nail that.
Yeah, it's just getting to the point of where someone's relaxed, because we will share our real expressions and our real feelings with close family and friends.
Yeah.
When it's an associate, we start putting up a wall. When it's a photographer and I'm having a picture taken of me that everybody out there is going to see, suddenly we've got a big wall.
Yeah.
And it's getting to the point of where I'm not a photographer anymore. I'm actually somebody who you know and trust. And because you know and trust me, you'll actually give me a real expression. You'll connect. That becomes memorable.
It definitely becomes memorable. And I love how you use the term memorable and high impact. And you've just spoken then on the trust factor.
Yeah.
Because that's the way that modern film advertising is coming across these days, is that we're going away from this idea of pushing messages all the time down people's throats.
Yeah.
And it's now in this area where you got to build authenticity, you got to build trust, and you need to make yourself a memorable brand.
Yeah.
And how do you do that through film? Well, you need to step away from creating a situation that's very flashy and everything, and you need to design that same message that you were originally communicating, but you need to do that in a subtle manner, in a subconscious manner, by telling a story that makes a viewer connected to your brand.
Yes.
And they feel that authenticity, they feel like they have a trust with you. And it's the same situation here with the photo, both in the relationship between you and the subject, but also in how they portray themselves in that photo to convey that authenticity, the trust, and whatever other variables that they're wanting to display and communicate to their target market.
Yeah. I'm asking people to be vulnerable in front of my camera.
Yeah. Amazing. I love it. Prior to entering photography full time, you worked for 20 years with Bang & Olufsen.
That's right.
For those unaware, they're a leading high-end speaker, headphone and television company.
Yep. They began in 1925, so they're the oldest company in the industry.
So what's that, 99 years old now? Big 100 next year. Yeah. How much of an impact did that period of your life, 20 years is a big chunk of life.
It is.
How much has that had an impact on your photography career?
Oh, hugely. One being one of the premium 50 brands in the world. Everything about quality, about prestige, a price point to match for the top end gear and that from them. Clients who have extremely high expectations. So that was built into me. The imagery that are in their magazines is incredible. The stores, the way they're actually designed and laid out around the world, everything about it, and that is luxury. So being around those people, living with their expectations, working with them on a daily basis, being surrounded by incredibly beautiful products and beautiful literature that went in to actually sell those products, great picture quality and great sound quality, that became the cornerstone of what my bench level was. So when I moved into photography, for me it was just natural that's my bench level. Sure. Like we were talking about before, the top 5 people who you spend the most time with, you'll become similar to. Your expectations will become the expectations of what's norm for that group. Yeah. So for me, that was the norm.
Did you have that attraction to premium and luxury before you moved into Bang & Olufsen?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah.
So that's always been part of you?
It's always been part of me. Prior to going with Bang & Olufsen, I was also with another very, very premium audio company where it was some of the most esoteric audio in the world. Extremely small number of people, extremely expensive audio products. And, I was there for quite a period of time as well. So it's been a big part of who I am and what I've done. So
with this role, were you engaged with their marketing, the photography side of things, or was photography a bit of a hobby for you that you then took on towards the back end of your tenure there?
Picture quality, design quality, materials, all of the things that related to that, they were my normal day-to-day parts.
Okay.
Photography started with my wife, who was a hair and makeup artist, and that needing images done of clients of hers. So that's really where I started photographing people. It was for the images needed for my wife's business. And then from there, the people who I was photographing, they had other members of their family that wanted things done. They had husbands and partners and that who were in business. So then they're saying, can you do a business image for me? It's like, yeah, I can do a business image for you. Then building from there, could we do some portraiture? Like, yes, I can take some pictures and that's some beautiful portrait pictures and that of you as well. Can you do products? Well, no, I can't, but I'll learn.
Yeah.
And yeah, one thing led to another. As the people who I was working with kept asking me, can you do this? My first answer would be no, but I will learn. And now it's become part of what I love doing, helping people with their people, their products, their services, the places that they work.
So how, at what time of your career with Bang did you start that photography side of things? Was it towards the back end 5 years? Or?
Yeah, it was in the last 5 years that really started developing a passion, not just for understanding the uses of the pictures, because that's what I'd used them for. It was other people's work, but it was then going, what could I do? How could I start creating those same type of images? How could I create images that could help sell what I did and help sell what other people and that did in their businesses?
So presumably being involved with such a premium company, the clientele that they would have been equally as premium.
For sure.
You know, high level people in the world. Did those connections that you had within the company there help you really start to boost your photography when you first exited?
Okay. Unfortunately, no.
No.
Part of leaving a company like that, I wasn't allowed to contact any of my old clients. So, it was a complete start from scratch. But what I'd learned, the knowledge, the skill, how to deal with those type of people, how to provide quality up to the expectations that met and exceeded what they were after, those skills I took with me. I just couldn't take any of my database.
Sure. No, I mean that makes perfect sense. Contrasting to lower shelf products, and we've been speaking a lot about people and headshots so far, but you also do some amazing product photography work.
Thank you.
So, are we looking at the same kind of variables in terms of the low shelf items versus the premium shelf items when it comes to product photography?
Okay. With product photography and between what you'd call a item where someone can't spend a lot of money and that on imagery, and someone that has a budget.
Sure.
The goal is to use the skills and everything that I know so that I can bring a level of quality to somebody who's a very small company with a product that they can't spend a lot of money on, but to use my skills and expertise to give them the best possible start, because I believe all small companies, if you can help them out as they grow, they'll grow with you.
Sure.
If you don't care about them because they're a low budget item, and that they will grow away from you.
Yep.
And I'd much rather keep and help them grow and provide some of the knowledge that I've got, provide some of the experience, get them on their way. Because if they start selling and if their business is doing well, why would they want to leave me?
Yeah, they wouldn't.
And if it's a brand that has got a bigger budget, where we can go in for more elaborate design, more elaborate working out of what do we actually want this image to tell, the way it could be shot, the materials that we could use in conjunction with it, the post-production that we can afford to now do, and that I can scale up to that level as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So one of the images I'm really proud about at the studio, and you've seen it, one's a very expensive bottle of wine, shot like a very expensive premium bottle of wine with a premium glass. And right next to it is a huge print, and that is a very, very cheap cosmetic product. less about $5 in cost. But I've actually shot it like you'd shoot a campaign for a very expensive brand, and it's sitting next to it. So it's a $5 eyebrow stamp in a big layout with multiple pieces, and it's sitting next to an incredibly expensive rare bottle of wine, and yet the two of them, they both look like the same value.
Yeah. Because it's high impact, it's memorable.
Yeah. So for them, they needed an e-commerce picture of it. So we've got the e-commerce pictures, plain white background. This is what you get in the box. This is what the product looks like. These are the associated other items that actually come in there. And then this is a brand shot.
Sure.
And it's impactful. It's 40 inches wide. And you look at it and you don't think that it's a budget product. You think it's a really expensive quality brand.
Jeez, that's where it all comes back to the importance of displaying yourself, because you could have the very high impact, the high value wine,
Yeah. Shot
and
poorly,
you could shoot it poorly, and that's your brand gone.
and it looks like a throwaway catalogue.
Yeah.
You know, the catalogue that you used to get every week, and you'd have a look through and there'd be, 300 bottles of wine, all look exactly the same, all have exactly the same lighting. Didn't matter whether it was a $5 bottle, a $30 bottle, a $300 bottle, they all look the same.
That just shows the importance of photography, doesn't it? That you don't think about these things.
No.
You don't think about it. You think a photo is a photo.
Yeah.
The video is a video. You can go on about 1,000 other different things.
Yeah.
But it just shows the importance. Even the low-cost products, the low-cost services, still need premium photography.
It elevates you. It makes you memorable. You are something that the people will go, I remember that.
I'm going to really start looking at things differently now, especially the McDonald's ones. I would never. I mean, of course, it makes sense that they would be spending a lot of money on premium photography for what they do, but you don't originally put those two and two together.
Yeah.
When you first think about McDonald's and you think about what they sell, such a low cost, no fuss item, but they're investing so heavily in this side of things.
Yeah.
It flips your view on the world.
It's like in the picture that I took of you. A couple of key things for me was when you actually have a look at your logo, there are multiple colours in there. Yeah. The way they actually move from one colour to the next, the patterning that's actually in there above Fixon. Making sure that that was actually lit properly so that could be seen in the picture. You spent time looking at that. You spent budget getting that design made, making sure it's what you want it to have. Shouldn't everybody see that? Yeah. The same as your glasses. The anti-reflection coatings that you have on your glasses.
We had a lot of
they were
struggles with that.
they were a lot of fun, and that because of the blue sort of part to it. Yeah. But yeah, making sure that they looked like what you'd wanted. You want people to be able to see your eyes when I'm sitting here talking with you now. Yes, there's lights that are on for us, but I can still see straight through to your eyes. So we had to find a way that when my bright flash went off, that didn't bounce back into my camera. Yeah. And that was a tricky one for us, but we got there.
And you spoke about before, learning product photography, learning different areas so that you can provide that service to people. You had to learn on the spot that day with these glasses.
They were different to a normal pair of glasses. So, normal glass that has anti-reflection coatings, and that I go, this is what I need to do. But because they've got the blue light filter on them as well as the other, it was reflecting in different ways. And you don't see that until the flash goes off.
Exactly right. It's one of those things you've got to play with as it comes along.
We had to modify it on the day and then go, okay, based on what I know, these are things that I should try first. Let's get through those as quick as possible because I want to get back to what the real part was, getting the right shot for you. Yeah. But you wear glasses. We weren't going to take them off. No,
and that's part of me, and it goes back to the trust, authenticity. This is the person that you want to portray. This is who I am. Yeah. And we have to show that irrespective of what variable comes at play. It's important that is there. Yeah. Because it's no use taking a photo, which would have been an easy, straightforward photo without the glasses on. Yeah. But if I turn up and meet with yourself and other people, and I've got my glasses on, but they're thinking they're meeting some person without glasses, that's going to be a big shock to them.
For sure. Yeah. And without them, you don't feel comfortable.
Exactly.
If you took them off now, you would not feel as comfortable as you do with them on.
Correct.
And that shows in every muscle of your face.
James, going to ask you 2 quick fire questions as we finish off this morning.
Okay.
The first question is, what is the biggest lesson that you've learnt over your career as a photographer, as a marketer, because technically you are still a marketer?
Yeah.
And then the second question will be, what is your number 1 tip for those who are coming into marketing? They're very fresh with marketing. What would be your number 1 tip for them to set them up on the right pathway?
Okay. Answering the second one first. Number 1 thing, work out who your client is. Work out who you want to talk to, and then get an understanding of how to talk to them.
Okay, so understand who your target client is, and understand how you're going to communicate, how you're going to talk to them.
Because otherwise your message isn't going to get to the person you're trying to deliver it to.
Sure.
And my number 1 tip, oof.
So the one lesson that you've learned over your career.
The one lesson I've learned is never, ever, ever stop learning.
And I think that is something that you live out every single day.
Every day. Every day I learn something new. Even when I do something that I think I already know, there'll be something that happens, and that where you go, how can I do this better? How can I improve on it? What did I like about what I did last time? And what little 1% or 2% improvement can I make it so next time I can do it even better than what I did before?
I love it, James. Thank you so much for your time this morning. It's been fantastic to learn about just what high impact and memorable actually is, because they're 3 words that people could look at and kind of just walk past it, not worry about it. But there's a lot more to it, and there's a lot more to just taking a photo. Yeah. And I think you show that every day in your work and in your communication, and then today as well. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.